Greetings, and welcome to my fashion studio suite. If this is your first time encountering me, my name is Kenyetta.grate, kenyettasewgrate to be exact. And I am the creator of Fashion Studio Suite, which is an online resource hub for beginner and self-taught fashion designers where you can learn, connect, and grow. It's also a safe space for all the advanced and the intermediate fashion designers as well. So if you're tuned in, it's because you were strolling and you hit my video and you're curious, or you actually heard that I will be offering some complimentary courses on basic pattern making. Well, whichever way you arrived here, you're in for a treat, okay? Because that's what I'm going to be doing. I'm going to be giving you some complimentary courses, some guidance on how to add value to yourself as a fashion designer and a pattern maker, okay? Now, before we begin, I just want to say that this course, it is free. I'm offering it. It's an informal yet professional guided step-by-step course on drafting the basic pattern set, okay? Now, although it's free, there are some upfront investments that you'll have to make in order for you to be efficient. And that's what this part 1 video is about, okay? First thing is this book, Pattern Making for Fashion Design by Helen Joseph Armstrong. This is my pattern making Bible. What I'll be sharing with you, I'll actually be getting a lot of the information from this book. You could actually teach yourself pattern making from this book. You don't need me, but if you have the time, if you don't have the time rather, then I'm here to help guide you through it. There's a lot of information that can be overwhelming and very time consuming to go through. So that's why I'm here. I'm going to be guiding you through those steps, okay? So if you have the money, go ahead and invest in this book. If not, it's okay. I'll still be guiding you along the way. All right? The next thing is, part 1. Here, you're here. Part 1, pattern making tools. In order for you to be an efficient and effective pattern maker, you must have proper tools, proper professional tools. Now, there are 2 categories of tools. Excuse me. There are 2 categories of tools. There are your general tools, and then there are your specialized tools. Most of you may have some of the general tools, and those are going to be less expensive, but still very important. And then you're going to have those specialized tools. Now, the specialized tools, majority of you may not have those already, and maybe you do. I don't know, but as we go through the list, we'll see. Those specialized tools are actually professional tools that are going to help you cut down costs, help you cut down errors, making errors while you're sewing or while you're designing, okay? Some of them are pricey and some of them aren't. You're not going to spend more than $100 on one tool. That's not what we're going to do. This course is designed for you to cut costs, save money, and do things on your own, okay? If you cannot afford to pay someone to make patterns for you, that's what this course is for. And it's also for you to add value, because even if you decide, pattern making is not for me, you're going to see yourself go to a whole nother level once you learn what I'm going to teach. All right? All right, great. Okay, so we're going to jump on right into it, and we're going to get started with me going over your actual pattern making tools. You're going to have about 2 weeks to get your tools, okay? The next session we're going to do is going to be taking measurements, so you won't need all of your tools on that session. I personally actually have to order and restock some of my tools, so I'm giving myself 2 weeks as well, okay? Again, this is an informal, professional, guided course, so no pressure. I'm not going to put any pressure on myself. This is what I love to do. I love pattern making and I love sewing. So, no pressure. It's informal. It's not interactive. I will be doing some live videos, but they won't be interactive because of the sake of time. I am a single mom, and I have to jump in and get these videos done for you while my little man is laying down sleep or when he's away from home. So this particular video will be a little bit shorter because it is pre-recorded, but some of the live ones will be about 1 hour to 2 hours long of your time. Thank you for your time. I'm excited that you've come into my space. My sacred space is my sewing space. I'm just excited to have you here in my studio. So when you do purchase your supplies, if you don't already have one, you want to get a sewing box. This is my sewing box here. I fit so many things in this box, but this is my box, okay? You want to make sure you get a sewing box, whatever that looks like for you. Once I show you the tools you'll need, you'll know what kind of box you need, okay? Or how big you need it to be to go along with all the other supplies you already have, okay? All right, so let's get into this list. And I am going to go down a list because I don't want to forget anything. All right, so the first thing you're going to need, which these couple things are going to be what you need for the next part 2 session, which is garment measurements, okay? The first thing you're going to need is a tape measure. Very inexpensive. A tape measure, which most of you already have. After that, you're going to need a mechanical pencil. Not a wooden pencil, but a mechanical pencil. A mechanical pencil. All right, so the next thing you're going to need are straight pens. They can be ballpoint with the color balls on it if you like. You're going to need a pen holder. So this is excellent. The magnetic pen holder I absolutely love. Or you can go with your grandmother's tomato pen cushion. Now, anything works as long as you don't have pens all over the floor. You want to create a safe workspace, which is a stress-free workspace. The next thing you need are scissors, fabric scissors. You don't want to cut fabric with paper scissors. So the next thing is going to be the actual pattern shears. If you notice, there is a difference. The blade is shorter than the fabric shears. Vice versa, you don't want to cut fabric with paper shears, okay? Colored pencils. You need red and blue colored pencils. This is going to be to correct your patterns, to adjust your patterns, okay? The next thing you're going to need are felt tip Sharpie pens. Red, green, blue, and black. These are going to help us indicate our pattern pieces. So this is very important for you to have as well. All right, so the next thing you're going to need is the Flex General Rule. And actually, this is not necessarily a need. It helps you to measure curves easier versus using this item, which is an 8x2" ruler. When I told y'all I need to order some supplies, serious, look at my ruler. This is my clear ruler. Look, the lines are literally disappearing. This is how much I use. This is my favorite tool. This is how much drafting I do. All right, so the next item is going to be the tailor square. You won't see me use this as much. You may not, but you still want to purchase this. You can actually get a smaller one. If the smaller one is less expensive, it might be 12x12, or 14x14, 12x12. You can do that. This one is 24 to 14. So 24 length, 14 width. Okay. It's the L square. The French curve, one of my other faves, used for shaping neck and armholes. This is my French curve. I actually prefer the clear one that you see in the video, but I ordered a whole pattern set, which you can do that as well online. They have the whole ruler pattern set. You can do that, but this is the one that I actually use. I like this one. It's not too bad. I like it, but I actually prefer the clear one. But I'll be using this one while I'm teaching you how to draft patterns. The hip curve, another one of my faves, shapes hip lines, hems, and lapels. Then you have the very form curve. This one shapes hip lines, hems, and lapels as well, blends shapes and armhole necklines. Now, both of these rulers are essential, but personally, I think you only need one because you already have the French curve. This is my hip curve. I prefer this one because when it comes to men, designing clothing for men, this curve is not you don't have much of a contour or much of a shape on this curve. The other one I think is more for female hips. You know, we have hips, so I think it's more for that. But this one is sufficient as well for designing for women. This is my favorite one. So I prefer, even though we are still drafting for women, the woman's figure, I actually prefer this one over the more curved. This is what I used when I took my tailoring class in school. Hanger hooks or pattern hooks. These are used to store your finalized patterns as if you're hanging up garments on a clothing rack. All right, the next thing are gonna be your push pins. These are for pattern manipulation. We'll get more into that later. I'll explain more of that to you. All right, the next thing you're going to need is a stapler. Then you're going to need the stapler remover. This one is good, or you can go with the old school version. I like both, either or, whichever one you have. If you have this at home, use that one. The next thing you're going to need is Scotch Magic Tape. Magic Tape. The translucent. It's not shiny on the outside. You should be able to write on it. You'll be able to write on this tape. Very important. This is going to be the men patterns. Next, you're going to need the notcher. You know how you match your patterns up when you do commercial patterns? That's what the notcher is for. The notcher is to, it's like a hole puncher for patterns. Okay, the next thing is going to be the tracing wheel. You're probably more familiar with the blunt edges. This is the sharp point. This is going to change your life, this sharp point tracing wheel. The next thing is an awl. An awl, you want a sharp point awl, 1/8 of an inch hole to make 1/8 of an inch hole in patterns. Here we have pattern weights. This is going to help you hold down your patterns if they go rolling everywhere. They're very inexpensive to purchase. I recommend that. Then you have the rabbit hole punch. I personally don't have one of these, but I am planning to invest in one. You can punch holes in your patterns so that way you can hang your hanger hooks or your pattern hooks there. Then there's the tailor chalk. We're going to use tailor chalk. And last but not least, you need muslin. Muslin. We're going to be sewing up our final patterns, and we're going to be using muslin to do that, to make sure everything fits perfectly. From there, we'll be able to tell whether we need to make adjustments to our first pattern. All right, so now that you have the list of all the items that you need, go ahead, go to Amazon. Some of these things you can purchase at your in-town stores like Joann's, Hobby Lobby. You can purchase from them. I mean, you can find everything online, but if you just want to kind of go in person, there's a few of the supplies that you know that you can get out of Joann's. Some of these things you already have in your sewing box. Look through your sewing box, pull them out, and then kind of take inventory of what you absolutely need to purchase. The two other things we're missing, very important, are pattern paper. That's what I have to order more, pattern paper, because I run out of that so quickly. But if for whatever reason you cannot afford to purchase drafting paper right now, that's the dot paper. The dot paper. If you cannot afford to purchase the dot paper, what you want to do is you can actually use newspaper, okay? I use newspaper all the time, okay? Because in actuality, once you get your final pattern, it's not going to be on newspaper. It's going to be on manila paper, okay? So, if you want to cut costs and save some money, you can use newspaper. The only thing about newspaper is the ink comes off. So you got to be careful with that. If you want to use this and you want to put it directly to a garment, you definitely want to be careful with this because the ink on newspaper comes out really easily. But newspaper works just as well as pattern paper. The lines parallel, perpendicular, they're straight. So newspaper is the best alternative. Some people will use brown paper bags and all of that, and that's fine, but you would have to grid out and make sure. You have to pretty much use an L square to grid out to make sure your lines are straight, because it's very important in pattern making that you have straight, perpendicular, and parallel lines, so that way you can get symmetrical lines, symmetrical drafting while you're doing your patterns, okay? All right, so that's it for our first session. I am so excited. I can't wait until we really get into drafting patterns, which will be in the next 2 weeks. Now, next week, I want you to have your measuring tape and your mechanical pencil. If you are not already subscribed to my email list, I need you to do that. I need you to click the link in the bio and go ahead and subscribe to my email list. Why? Because I will be emailing out documents for the next session. They're going to be documents that are going to help guide you along the way. And I'll be doing this in each session. I'm going to be emailing out maybe some forms or like guided forms to help us get to the next session. Now, you're going to get that email before next week, Wednesday. Next week, Wednesday is our next session, okay? And that one, I think I'm going to go live. I'm not sure, but I will let you know in the email, or you'll see a post on my Instagram page, kenyettasewgrate. You'll see a post, whether it's going to be live or just something pre-recorded. But either way, I want to make sure that you have our preview to what's to come. So you're not going to be blindsided by what we're going to be going over. I'm going to actually be sending you some information so that way you can start processing what we'll be doing in the next session. Okay? All right. So if you have any questions, feel free to inbox me. My inbox is open. I will reply back. Or if you're going on the Fashion Studio Suite website, I will reply to your emails as well. All right. So happy that you joined me today, and I look forward to seeing you next session, part 2, full body measurements. All right. All right. I'll see you next week.